Hello everybody, my name's Brayden, and today's YouTube video is going to be a little different from what I usually publish. I have to do this project for English class, and we have to do a rant and film it. So I decided I'd share it all with you guys today. Basically, for the past few months, we've been working on our rants. We've done a lot of research, effort, a lot of stuff into it, so I'm ready to share it with you guys. Let's just get started right away. How do you guys feel about porn in the school library? I could spend countless hours in the school library, lost in a book or enjoying a peace of quiet, as it's quite like a sanctuary to me. Until suddenly, the main character is fornicating with the side character, in quite graphic detail, I may add. Unfortunately, this is the reality of heavy majority of YA and teen books in general. As a student who loves to read, I have a fear of whether the next book I read is going to pretty much be an erotic novel and contain the most depraved and low-quality smut I have ever read. Put it simply, the bulk of YA and teen literature is very, very smutty. And we seem to be okay with it? We've all heard of user-generated works of literature aggregated on sites like Wattpad and AO3, right? You know, those places where you can find pornographic renditions of your favorite characters doing all sorts of things. For example, Harry Potter x Reader Smut. Or maybe, if that's too tame for you, how about Everlark Smut? Peter Malark's Sexual Frustration by user Savage O'Brien on Wattpad. You can find the weirdest writing, alongside the most perverted ideas and thoughts that the human mind can conjure. I'm sure you get the idea. Now imagine all of that edited, printed out, and shipped to millions of impressionable teenagers, and you've got yourself a standard YA novel. These novels that I've had the displeasure of reading includes different examples of different sexual acts, whether implied or not, akin to a porn scene, as well as the writing being reminiscent of a teenage girl's diary. To evidence this, let's look at some lines from Terrera Mafi's Ignite Me. His lips are making their way down my chest, and he's undoing what little left of my composure and every bit of my sanity, and I'm aching everywhere, tasting colors and sounds I didn't even know existed. Ma'am, this is a Wendy's. Tell me this is not someone's wet dream. Seriously, tell me this isn't. Honestly, you might even get away with sneaking this smut in if it were just one scene. But I swear that in some of these books, it's happening every other chapter. Besides the messed up smut being messed up smut, there is no indicator that a book has sexual content. Because YA consists of a huge range from 12 to 21 plus in age, someone who is still in elementary school can have access to this content. My little brother, who just turned 12, has access to these type of books. Imagine, my brother is in grade 7, meaning he's almost a high schooler, and he has access to the local public library. In fact, even people younger than him can go to the library and pick up any YA book if they wanted to. One thing I've noticed is that the use of sex and smutty scenes seem to act as filler content, taking away from the quality and the story of the book. Think about it like this. Most people would agree that if you go on a tangent on an essay, you diminish the impact of your thesis. For extra emphasis, if you submitted that essay to an English teacher, he would probably deduct points on it based off of it being off topic and diluting the argument. So why can't we apply that same concept to novels? Let's use another example. Shatterby by Terrera Mafi is a YA novel that contains some incredibly good themes about environmentalism, human spirit and culture, and what could happen if a totalitarian government were in place. So we start with the book, we have a good introduction, there's a cool fight scene, very cool writing style, all the good stuff that makes a novel good. And then the smut came, and I developed the extreme urge to throw the book against the wall, and I severely regretted ever reading it. But because I was already dragged too far into the book, I had to continue reading it. And there are 6 books in this series, so I have to suffer through each one of these books before I can even finish. Let me ask you, why do you think this happens? Why do you think that these faults are so mainstream, and especially compared to other literature demographics? To find some answers, I consulted Google Scholar, and I found some very interesting results. In a report published by the International Literary Association, we've been seeing the YA demographic increase, and the fact that we are one of the fastest growing demographics. We've seen major changes to the YA landscape. An example of that is that there are 2 relatively new YA literature awards, those being the Michael L. Prince Award, awarded through the American Literary Association, and the Young Australian Readers Award, or YARA, which is a Reader's Choice Award. Despite this study, and another one conducted 20 years ago by UBC, I could find no other credible sources reviewing the trends of the YA genre, meaning that there is little to no scrutiny. This means that the genre is growing at a fast rate, with little to no regulation. It is similar to urban sprawl, which is uncontrolled city growth without civil planning or practicality, which leads to a horde of problems. In our situation, these issues can be boiled down to a severe lack of well-written content. Couple this with our second problem, namely the fact that as consumers, we hardly ever take any action to change the situation. I want to note that I've read quite a few YA books that were truly exceptional. Some examples like Defy the Stars by Claudia Gray or Sky Hunter Mary Lou show that good YA literature can exist, can be impactful, and is achievable. Before we conclude, I want to point out that I've been challenged on my beliefs and opinions about this rant. That this rant is not a personal attack against anyone or their book preferences. Some people have made statements taking great offense like, why don't you just ignore these parts of the books? Why do you have to ruin the people's happiness? First, there is no indicator of any sexual content until it's too late and the scene happens. This means that there is no prior warning, and people may be triggered by this content. Congrats. You forgot that you're not the only person that exists in this world. Second is that behind it all, the authors get off scot-free, and they feel like they can put whatever they want in their books, and they don't have to put in any effort, and that they can do whatever we want, because we're just gonna eat it up. And the third point is that you can read all the smutty books that you want. I don't want to shame anyone, and I have never said to shame people, nor to discriminate based off of book choices. It is your right to do so without judgment or discrimination. I passionately believe in the freedom of choice. Okay, with all my ranting out of the way, I ask, how can we solve this problem? I propose 2 solutions. The first is that we need to hold writers accountable. We are their target demographic, and without our viewership, they would be screwed. It's time to stop being so complacent with letting writers have their way and producing crap quality books. Write that angry review in Goodreads, send that letter to the author, create that 20+ minute rant on YouTube, as long as you make your voice heard in any way possible. The second thing I suggest we do is implement something similar to a content warning or an audience rating, like those found on video games and in movies and TV shows. This way, people can avoid topics they don't like while others can, and we can still maintain the integrity of the freedom of choice. If movies and TV shows have it, so can novels and books. I actually saw a really good example of this at the school library. As you can see, it doesn't have to be this huge elaborate thing, just a simple footnote at the start of a book. Something that simple goes a long way in being more accessible and friendly for everybody. I know the system isn't foolproof or perfect, but any action is better than sitting around doing nothing at all. This is what I'll let you all think about for now. Thank you for your time.